Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Friday on Faces of Evil, Love, and Power. Even though that is the name of the segment, today we're going to talk about something that I don't know who is not being affected directly or indirectly. Some people call it mild depression. Some people call it trauma. Some people call it like pandemia, whatever you want to call it. There's signs on your face who can be read, that can be seen, and partner, friends, and co-workers on the face. So this time we choose to do it from different channels to read it. So the idea with this segment today is help you to identify changes in faces and why those changes happen from different perspectives. So we have today as special guest Jennifer Whitacre, that you work beside other things as a trauma specialist, and Jennifer is part of our Facebook group every Friday. And when we put this picture on the group to read, she gave us such a great explanation that she ended up being, I guess, in our Facebook group too. And like, I think that we need to talk to everyone that it's available out there to understand. Jennifer, tell us what to do and who you are.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Whitacre. Like Susan said, I'm a trauma specialist, and that is specific to developmental and generational trauma. So I look at the subtle lifelong effects of unresolved trauma from childhood. They're the things, and when I say subtle, they're the things that we write off as behavioral quirks, personality traits. Oh, he does that sometimes, or she's just like that. A lot of times we don't realize that they're spinoffs from early childhood trauma that are still affecting us well into adulthood. So as a trauma specialist, I read the nervous system, which is why I'm so fascinated in body language. I am also trained in body language, statement analysis, elicitation, learning face reading from Susan, hopefully getting ready to do the class with at the end of the month that you told us about, Susan. So I'm looking forward to that. I also kind of straddle that line into what I call the woo-woo world. So I also study shamanism, and I'm trained in subtle energy work. And I follow a lot of people who talk about the neuroplasticity of the brain, and I'm a resiliency trainer. And with the resiliency trainer, we hear about the neuroplasticity of the brain. I teach about that, and I teach practices that actually work with that, because people understand what it means that our brain can rewire itself, but there are practices that can make that happen, and that's what I teach through the resiliency workshops.
And our partner in crime, you're complete. But one of the things that I like about your background is, like in my case too, is why you're doing all the channels together and get to a point that, I don't know, I was doing an interview last week that was aired yesterday, and I said, I don't know when one channel ends and the other one take control. Why? Right. Because you need all the tools needed in order to better, first of all, understand how the other person need to be communicated, how they process information, and after, how they react to the information that you tried, and how high are the bar and the wall they put in between the specialist, in your case, and the person looking for help.
Yeah.
El Oribe, our partner in crime, all the way from our office in Latin America. Hi, Elba. How you doing?
Hi, fine. And you? I think, like I told you, I'm a crazy woman. I like to be like knowing new things. And I say, Jennifer, with you here, it's like we have to learn from you a lot of things. So it's great to be with you guys, and let's do it.
Yeah, only to clarify, after the first live we did with Jennifer, she ruined my weekend. I went online to read all these new articles. So now you open a new branch of my learning path. So I'm going to end up learning from you. And thank you for the articles you already sent me. I cannot wait to have a break to go over and enjoy it. So on the promo, we show a picture, and one of usually on the classes, what I do is I show the picture without any explanation. Mm-hmm. And why I do that, and let's see if I share the right screen, because I tend to make mistakes. No, I think that I have the right one. Yes.
Yes.
I did that. Good for me. So now, which one you're seeing? The complete one or the black?
The complete one. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Great. I'm learning. Great.
See?
So, yeah, it's a learning process. What struck me, and the reason I use this picture is, as a face reader, what for some people is horrorizing, for me is fascinated, because I always says, I don't see skin, I don't see age, I don't see gender. I see a GPS to your brain, to your life, and the part of your life who have changed. Naturally, our face change every 7 years, but people sometimes find me like, oh, the size of their shape, the ears doesn't change, the chin doesn't change, the nose doesn't change. And like, what about, instead to believe it in what I'm saying, let's go to the past. This picture is in a museum. It's a soldier face after 4 years of war, from 1941 to 1945. I was trying to do my best to find out more information about the person. I couldn't, but this picture is in a museum. The artist was Eugene Stepanovich. He take the picture the day this person went to war and the day he came back. When I only show the picture without the context, most of the people has tell me even until 30 years of difference, or the fact that it's not the same person, is a brother or is the father and the son. But most of the time, people do not relate that it's the same person with only 4 years of difference. What happened? He went through war. So Jennifer, I would love, like we did the last time, if you can tell us, based on your expertise, what are the things that you see? And let's be clear, the one on the right, left of your screen is the picture was taken the day he left. Mm-hmm. The picture on the right is the one who it's when he came back from war. Jennifer, what will be your approach if you have a patient who have these differences, or just show up like in the picture on the left?
Mm-hmm. So what I would do if somebody showed up in the picture on the left is, if they showed up in my office with that look on their face and kind of that almost somewhat unfocused, haunting stare that you see, or sorry, the picture on the right, the after mm-hmm. picture. I think I'm like you. I'm a little bit dyslexic. I've never been diagnosed this. I get things exactly backwards. So left and right don't mean anything. I don't know why I said that. But yeah, the after picture. My first inclination, because I study the relational model of trauma, not the behavioral model. So I don't really go into a lot of talk. I'm very body-based in the work I do. And I would, just from the look on his face, try to keep him out of his story, because the more he retells the story, the more it's going to reinforce all of that ick in his nervous system. So what I see on his face, my gut instinct is that this guy has been in what we call the perfect storm of the nervous system at some point in his life, where he's been in all three roles of predator, prey, and witness simultaneously. And that happens a lot of times in combat. And we call it the perfect storm of the nervous system because it's not just fight or flight. It's not just sympathetic activation. It pulls in the parasympathetic activation, which leads to the freeze response when you have both fight or flight, sympathetic and parasympathetic converging. That leads to freeze. And also I see dorsal vagal, because I'm trying to come to a layman's term of polyvagal theory by Stephen Porges, because it's really important in the trauma work. And he looks like he's really stuck in dorsal vagal, which is kind of that collapse that sometimes you see in people. And when people are stuck in dorsal vagal, they can appear to be okay on the outside. And what's happening on the inside is they're melting down. They're on that hyper alert, hyper awareness. They seem calm to those around them, but inside they're just a mess. And that's what I'm seeing on his face. And even the pulling in of the face, how the face is so much more, it's like it's narrower. It's pulled in upon itself. It's like there's a tension inside the tissue. And that's telling me that he's in what we call global high intensity activation. So after you start to go into fight or flight, there's this gentle rising, like you're ready, your body's getting ready to run or to fight to get out of a situation. If you can't do that, sometimes if you're always in that and you always have the stress hormones going, you never come all the way back down to that rest and digest. Sometimes you're not back to your baseline, but you're always here with your stress hormones. And that's what I'm seeing in his face, is that he's constantly got stress hormones in his body, because over time that starts to eat away at your cellular tissue, giving you that pulled in, pale, wan look on your face, if that makes sense.
How you would approach, and the reason we bring this together at this time is because, again, I have seen people on Zoom calls from 6 months to today, and I see some of the changes in the things that you says. The first question I have is like, well, he lost a lot of weight, that the face is different. Like, no, the face is elongated. We measure the face has become longer. The areas of the face become longer. And I have been talking with some people that I found out after they were highly depressed or they were suffering from some pressure or violence on the house. And I can determine, for example, for disappearing of the lips, the eyebrows start getting lighter, like more chameleon way when they want to disappear from the situation. So it's what will be the signs that people need to be paying attention with friends, co-worker, or people they have a relationship when they see those so abrupt changes? Because again, in this case, it was only 4 years. I have seen changes like this in 3 months.
Yeah. Some of the things that I look for, or I tell people to look for, are noticing how they interact in conversation. Is there a change in how they interact? Do they seem a little bit more frozen? Because a lot of times that surprised look on his face with his eyes up, you'll see that just in normal, everyday conversation. And a lot of times it comes through like a little micro expression, and sometimes it just stays plastered on the face like a macro expression. And there's almost an unfocused look in the eye. So I think we all know that person that we've talked to that has the lights are on, but nobody's home look in their face. If you see that, maybe just ask, how are you? What's happening for you, or what are you experiencing in your life right now? Like I noticed that something's a little bit different. You don't have to point out and say, hey, it looks like lights are on, nobody's home with you. What's going on? Because that can be really
never is a good response.
Right.
I was talking with one person that I've been working for a long time, and says, oh my God, my 16 years old is driving me crazy. Like, well, do not ask how you doing drugs or how you doing it. Like, it's any chance that somebody has seen you doing this and that. Go indirectly, because trauma, questions who has to do with things that you're not doing right. If you go too direct, or like, I think you're lying to me, you're done. The person is closed and you're never going to have a reply. And the idea to approach somebody who can have any of these features on the face or retracted in the body language is to help them to open and help other human beings to get better.
Yeah. And the way to do that is safety and rapport. There has to be safety and rapport between the client and the practitioner. And if there's not, the client is not going to progress well in their treatment. So that's a really important aspect of the work I do with my clients too, is I like to offer a consultation before I choose to work with anybody, so we can choose each other. Gives them, my potential clients, a chance to know me, so they can choose whether or not they want to work with me. Because if I'm not the right practitioner, without that safety and relationship, because I do apply the relational model, if there's not a good relationship, they're not going to get better. People are injured in relationship and people heal in relationship.
That is a good point, way to put it. I never think about that. If you're a coworker, you're a manager, or you have a friend who presents some of the description that you talk, and we're going to talk with Elva, who is the right professional to approach? Because doing an intervention from somebody who going to this stage is not the right thing. I've been reading articles about kids going online school and the parents showing an underwear, smoking and drinking like 9 o'clock in the morning. And so it's not only happening with adults, it's happening with kids too.
Yeah.
But the question when I was talking about the segment that we're going to do today is people is like, okay, you're going to explain us with Jennifer and Elva the basic that to pay attention, what we do with that. And one of the things that I like to do, either when I teaching or when I talking, is like, this is what you see, that's what you need to do and how do you need to act. Jennifer, who is the right person to go and ask for questions when you can see any of these signs?
Well, I think that depends on the person. So for example, in this situation, I would not refer this guy to cognitive behavioral therapy, not straight up CBT, because cognitive behavioral therapy tends to be talk therapy and it keeps people circulating in their head. And it often keeps us in the story we tell ourselves. I would recommend this guy seek somebody out who understands the relational model so he can start to reconnect with the sensory experience in his body. Because what I'm seeing in this guy is he's all in his head and he is numb to what's happening in his body. He's because it's probably too painful to go back into those memories. And cognitive behavioral therapy will keep you in those memories. And with the relational model, the way I approach it through resiliency, it's noticing what else is true. So we notice whenever we're depressed or we're anxious or we're stressed, we notice all of that discomfort that happens in the body, like anxiety attacks, for example. Most people feel anxiety attacks somewhere in their chest where it clamps down. You feel like you can't breathe, or maybe you're going to hyperventilate because you can't get a deep belly breath or a deep breath in. We all know that anxious feeling. Well, what else is true? Because that anxious feeling is happening right here. And what I help people do is get into their body and say, okay, right now, if your attention is on all the discomfort of the anxiety, that's the actor on stage that you're putting the spotlight on. But you have this whole rest of your body that's not your chest. What else is true? Can we tap into sensation somewhere else and maybe not ignore what's happening, but just shift the spotlight to something else? And where we focus our attention is, where we place our attention really matters, especially inside ourselves. So if we're focusing our attention on the discomfort or the suffering or the pain, it's going to get bigger. But if we can find a place in our body that's more comfortable or neutral, that doesn't have that painful, suffering, uncomfortable spot, a lot of times the discomfort from the anxiety will start to diminish. Sometimes it dissipates altogether, but a lot of times it'll diminish to where you can get your head about you again, because we all know about the amygdala. Well, hopefully people do. When the amygdala is the seat of memory and emotion in the brain. So whenever the emotion is really big, we don't think clearly because it takes precedence over our executive functioning when the emotion's really big. And that's true for rageful anger. It's also true for falling head over heels in love, because how many times have we fallen head over heels in love with somebody? It's been the wrong person and everybody around us could see it, but there we go. Still staying in a relationship with the person we're not supposed to be with. And then it never seems to end well. I think we've all been there. And if we could start to realize how emotion truly affects our brain, then we can start to realize through our own physiology how to get our executive functioning back online so we can think more clearly. And that's what the relational model does.
For people that maybe they don't have any of the training that any of the three of us have, I would say it's something so simple like when the people start losing emotions on the face, that is the highest level of depression. When I train nurses, doctors, and psychologists, the first impact is like, well, it doesn't express pain. The person who come into your office yelling for meds, it's not the person who is like maybe in the pain they're saying, unless when they tell you the kind of medication they need. When you self-medicate is another point. But people who's in a high depressed, and on a violent situation, they stop having movement on the face and the body start coming smaller. Like you're gonna see like the people want to disappear, and you can go and watch videos of kids doing something they shouldn't when the parent says what you have done. Even happen with animals. They tend to hide behind things. So what people tend to do is hiding behind themselves, avoiding to have any kind of emotions, avoiding movement, so nobody can see you, so nobody can ask you, so nobody can hurt you.
Right.
You experience the same?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one of the things in reading the nervous system, that collapse is what we look for, kind of that poor posture. And I noticed that I also have a background in body work. I closed my myofascial practice a while back, so I don't really put that on my resume anymore because I don't do it. But I did myofascial release work for, oh my gosh, 11, 12 years. And I would see that a lot, with people who had depression or even, anger issues, where it's some of those really uncomfortable emotions that just get stuck. There's that collapse and this pulling down. And it's almost like the bottom of the rib cage and the pubic bone get closer together than they're meant to be. And I see a lot of people with back pain, bulging discs whenever they have that too, because we're not meant to be pulled down in that manner.
Our body, it's an experiment in action. Mm-hmm. So everything that happens, your body's going to experiment that feeling and it's going to let you know. We tend not to pay attention. Helva, you love this picture from the same reason I love it. And I know when I use that term, I try to retract it, like it's going to look like I have any enjoyment on the pain this gentleman has, and it's not. I love it because it can show people that where we need to pay attention to faces from every aspect that you want it. I'm not saying that for me, face read is my religion and I love it and I stand for. And I think these are kind of the examples where the faces can change for situations. You're going to pick it up and a couple of features. And by the way, Jennifer, you are in face reading level 2. So you can pick up some things and put it together between face reading and how you would approach this gentleman. So that's the way we can start combining. But Elba, you go first.
Okay. I'm going to first. I just want to put attention on the eyes. If we can see the eyes before the war, the picture that we have before the war, you can see that they change. Okay, let's start with this. He started to have sunken eyes, right? In the picture after the war. What means this? This means that he doesn't want to be seen. He is very cautious. He is very observant. He is going to look around what's happening. Another thing, his eyelids, the part, you can see the eyelids in the picture after the war. You can see they're straight. They're like a line. It's coherence with the same, because he's this kind of feature tell you that he's aware, he's suspicious, he's not going to believe in everything that he sees, he's not going to believe in everything that he hurts. And another thing, it's for me, it's amazing too, it's the eyebrows, because if you see the eyebrows before the war, he has like even eyebrows. They has the same amount of hairs in the eyebrows. But if you see it after the war, he has chameleon eyebrows. You cannot see it. This means that he is the one that he doesn't want to be seen. It doesn't mean that he is not paying attention. He's paying attention in everything that is happening around him, but he doesn't want to be seen. So I
always clarify something when people says, well, he can have lost hair for any kind of situation, vitiligo or whatever. It says, what happened with the hair in the head? Mm-hmm. The hair in the head hasn't changed. Actually, it's a little more, is longer on the top. Actually, it has the widow peak. That the widow peak is the what the Marilyn Monroe have, and that she can decide when she wanted to be seen and when not. People who develop, and you can see it's different than the one when he went to war was round, and now the hair is going pointy, meaning that it's coherent with the eyebrows and the socket eyes. I don't want to be part of the picture. In extreme awareness all the time. I don't want to be seen. Everything that we can be reading in a face to determine that a person want to be invisible, this is an 101 case to show how that can happen.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, he has the eyebrows, he has the sunken chin, the sunken eyes. So he doesn't want to be seen, even though he has pointy eyebrows. If you can see the picture before the war, he doesn't have that angle so strong. You can see it after the war. In the picture after the war, you can see that angle so strong, because he became a person who has to knows about what he's doing. He has to have that knowledge. So he has to have the things. He has to see all the possibilities that can happen.
Somebody asked what it I'm sorry, I didn't.
What do you think?
So no, yeah, I completely agree. Vanessa's asking, why did the nose got thicker? Does that has something to do with the trauma? What happened? You like noses, I like chins.
I like noses. Okay, yeah. If you can see the picture before the war, you can notice the point, the tip of the nose. They are thin. If you can see it in the after the war, it's wide. Why? Because instead to survive, he knows he has to work in a team. Because if I protect you, you can protect me. So we can protect all the team. So that's the thing that they can be like doing surviving. So yeah, it changed, because instead before the war, he was like more independent. After the war, he became more a team player, because he knows that
you don't survive by yourself in a war situation.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah.
And another thing is in the tip of the nose. Why don't you tell us what is this ball on the tip of the nose, and under this circumstance, what it meant?
It's the tip of the nose. He has like a ball. If you can see the before the war, he doesn't have that ball. He's like the pointy. But after the war, he has like a ball in the tip of the nose. Why? Because he has to be creative. He has to create that strategies instead to survive. To everyone can survive. So that means in this situation, the ball in the nose, in the tip of the nose.
Jennifer, with the knowledge you have until now with face reading and the thing that can be read, or the thing until now Elva or I has been mentioned, can you find any correlation to those?
Well, I just started face reading, so I just didn't.
You always says the same, and you always nail it.
I know, but on part 2, I've only done the introduction on part 2, so I haven't gotten into the lessons yet. I just signed up yesterday, actually. But what I noticed the most from him on my level of face reading is his ears, because he seems to have big ears and they stick out more in the second picture. And so that tells me about how he takes in information. So he seems like he's a listener for me instead of visual.
He's on the cusp. That's what we call the average, and something that people get amazed. His ears didn't change. His face get longer.
Okay. Is it because his face is more shrunken that it seems like his ears are bigger? Okay.
Yeah. On the beginning, it looked like the ears were bigger. When it changes the face, he was more an audit person. That's the reason there. If you see on his personal life, his ear wasn't too stick out. It's more stick out on the business side. I'm sorry. But when he came back, both have the stick out on the same way, and it has nothing to do with the angle. That has nothing to do with the picture. The picture hasn't been modified. You can see when you have stick out ears, meaning that you need to be aware, you need to be thinking outside the box, you need to be creative, you need to be thinking and jumping on your feet. I call it the 7-life cat, because it doesn't matter how high from the floor you drop it, they always fall on their feet because they need to. They're really good strategies, and they're really people who know how to fix problems as soon as they come in. And another thing, maybe you cannot see it, but his eyes become turned down, and his mouth a little more turned down than the first picture, that's meaning that he is ready for everything because he doesn't believe that things are going to go well.
Yeah. There's definitely a softness in the first picture that is absent in the after picture.
And the first picture, he have a round face. On the second pictures, and that's one of the most fascinating parts of between the eyes and the chin and the cheeks. If you look on the first picture, and again, it has nothing to do with weight, okay? I was used to be thinner, and my face was rounded. I'm around post-COVID 10 pounds over my weight, and you still can see, you can touch, you can see that my chin start here, my cheeks start here and finish here. Doesn't mean it's 45 degrees. We call it the warrior cheeks. When he went to war, he had a round healer cheeks. Here you can see where they start. You see when they finish, or vice versa, how you want to name it. You see the angle.
Okay.
It's completely different. He become a warrior. He come back as a survivor. That is amazing. He was this round, gullible person who come back being a warrior, disconnecting from reality. Guys,
Yes.
who wanna jump with anything else they're reading?
And I think in stand to the point. Sorry, Jennifer.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. In point to know how to approach him, he has a line here after the war in the chin. This disability line. This means this kind of line means that he needs that he needs to know that the decisions that he made was the right, because he was passing a lot of things over there. So he needs that recognition to say, okay, you know what? I know you made a lot of decisions, but you know, it were the best for the moment and the thing that you were living. He needs that kind of recognition.
Is this line you can see before the word is almost not showing, and even we can see how the lip change it. And this one, the line is start and finish. Perry, it's asking, are there changes to ears high after trauma correlating with the need to quick process information and surround it? From face reading, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I don't have any degree regarding that. I'm an expert in face reading, and I found out that where people is put under situation where they need to start surviving, adapting, and thinking faster, I see the ears coming out like as dramatic as you can see in this picture, and I see the ears coming back when they feel emotionally or physically safe, or they change positions regarding to the place they are. Jennifer, do you find any correlation in your expertise?
Well, I can't speak with face reading. What I notice, like in the before and after is he's definitely on more alert. He might appear calm in a situation, or like you said, kind of just blend in or be a chameleon. And also he's also on high alert. We call it defensive orienting rather than curious orienting. So a lot of times when people come into a new space, they'll kind of curiously look around. I don't get the feeling from this guy in the after picture that he's doing any like curious orienting. He'll go into a new space and look like, okay, where can I stand? I want my back to the wall. I want my back to the corner. I want to know where the exits are. I want to know how I can get out of here just in case. And it's all coming from a subconscious level where he's constantly scanning for threat. Rather than, oh, what's here? What can I find? It's how can I get out? Where am I going to be the safest? And just always, his nervous system is always on high alert is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, my apologies. I'm turning my head. I'm trying to see if we're not missing any questions, because I tend to forget to look on this monitor. Since we are live in 3 places at the same time, it's difficult to check and all of them. Elba? With the question specifically has to do with the ear height after the trauma, how the ears look or they're perceived or are higher than were before and stick out. Do you have anything to add to that?
In this point, the ears, yeah, I think that, like Jennifer says, he has to be like fast. He has to be the one that take the decision in the moment, because you know that your life is going to depend on. So he has to take the decisions as the way he had it in his mind.
I have 3 takes, and I want to talk about it that they're fascinating too. And it leaned me to think that he was more in the strategic part of war than in front of battalion. Are the lines on the forehead, the chin, the changes on the chin, and the ball on the nose. What it mean? If you can see on the first picture, is no lines, there are no shadows. It's not even that there are no lines, there are shadows. Actually, the face are both relaxed. It's called what we call neutral. In order to see these lines, and somebody so young, we're talking about this kid must has been between 18 to 20 when he went out, and this is the 24 to 25 years old guy who came back. Those lines come in with a lot of years, and when people says, well, everybody have the wrinkles on the forehead, not on the same way. This person developed in 4 years what we call the Einstein lines, or the PhD lines, meaning those are things that he needed to learn. And if you can see the deepness on the lines, and again, it's a neutral picture, it's not forced, it's not a smile. When we ask for people pictures to be read, we're asking for neutral and a smiling, because when it's smiling, you can see the lines here. We have 2 combination of lines here. We have the lines who says that he learned a lot of things. Some of the things that he learned, they really, really need to be learned, like deeper and more organized and more knowledgeable than other people around. And another thing, you can see how this line fell on top of the eyebrows. We call it that to the people who doesn't believe in things until they're not proven right. I have those lines, and when I get my face read for the first time, the person who did it and ended up with one of my coaches says, you're not going to believe. And they're like, no, actually, I'm calling you because I'm calling you on your BS. It's not way you're going to know me. And the reading was so surprised that 2 weeks later, I was on a plane studying with him. And he says, well, I know that you're not going to believe me easily until I don't prove you. So that's the reason I don't care to talking to you until I don't see the complete picture was for these lines. And I found out that most of the people who sometimes fight me and want training, they says that face reading is BS. They have pointy eyebrows and they have those lines. Until you show them that it's good, it's proven, and it's real, and that's when they start becoming a believer. So he doesn't believe in what is going on. The lines of Einstein line, meaning that he needed to learn what he needed to do. The nose become a ball, meaning that now we're working in team. And another thing, he used to have a round chin and a small chin. Look the size of the angle on the chin. It's a complete square. Mm-hmm. So you can see the line. That is a straight line, meaning that when he was talking, he talked without any softness. You see this in CEOs and managers and police and lieutenants and people who need to give observations or who need to do the briefing of feedback to people without softener, because they give more actions than comments. The person who left for war, he was a soft people when they talk. The lips are thicker and both are thicker. When he came back from war, actually the mouth get a little bigger, meaning that he was needed to talk, but he wasn't talking about how he feeling or how he doing. It's about what need to be done. You see this? The chin is completely flat. And this indentation on the chin, meaning that you're a player. What happened with face reading is not one black and white. I cannot read. I can have the same chin in 3 people and they have different personalities, because you need to combine the ears, intake, eyebrows, process, chin, how they communicate with others. So in this case, everything is telling me, by the way, from the chameleon, the form of the art, the warrior chicks, that he was on a strategy on giving orders or deciding where you're going to be shooting or where you're going to be attacking. I don't think this person was shooting people. It was seeing how maybe their platoon or their people would shoot. But I guess he was more on the strategic part. Elba, Jennifer?
Yeah, that makes sense, because I think the defensive orienting is very strategic, especially for people who've lived through trauma. And it's very possible that he lost a lot of people that he knew and cared about too, which can lead to that as well. You know, that high alert and defensive orienting that I was talking about. I'm sitting here taking notes because you're getting into stuff I haven't gotten yet. So,
well, that's a good news. You're part of the Facebook. By the way, whoever wanted to learn this, you don't need to pay to be in the Facebook group. It's fascinated. We have around 75 questions every Friday, and I always gonna say the same. I don't know if I do it for you guys or do it for myself because I have a lot of fun. And today we're gonna learn how to make questions based on the features in your face, how you should be approaching people in situations of stress too. So it's not that we wanna concentrate on the bad things. Actually, we're gonna use the information that we have, that it was going on out there, and try to help you with the tools that we have. I'm looking to see if we have any questions. So one comment, complete. We're going, partner in crime. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, okay, like you said, he's on a strategy part because he has the ears stick out. He has to think things outside the box. He has the pointy eyebrows. He has to have all the knowledge. He has to straight chin. He has to be like no filters. You have to do this and that, and that's it. I don't care if you want to do it, but you have to do it. So I think he's creative, and he works in a team. So I think he has all the features to see that he is the kind of person that works from the strategy side.
And it's another thing that I know is a kind of advanced level, and sometimes we don't teach it because people get confused, but it's important that you can start paying attention. Do you see this shadow on the ear? The outer and inner ridge is defined. You see, you see it, and you can see a shadow, meaning it's deep. That has to do with the connection that your brain make with the reality. I have seen the opposite, that is how he came back, and people who have their own idea about the reality. People who deny the reality because they need to live in their own head in order to survive. So maybe it's a little detail, but when I look for somebody who have these eyes, or I can see the white part of the eye. By the way, the Profiler Task Force with Janine, Lena, and Michelle this Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to talk about the DC snipers. And the pictures that I evaluate, I found that both showing the white part of the eye, completely disconnected from reality. But on top of that, I found this. You see how the ear changed? Mm-hmm. Not only change size, change shape distant from the head, it changed the inner outer ridge, change it too. You see, it's none. He missed it. That's mean that he, in order to survive, need to construct their own reality. And believe it or not, people like Pablo Picasso or Dali had it too. So depending on the circumstances is how that can be beneficial or not. He have this outer ear, he had the round nose. If I have those features in another face, I can tell you this is an artist. His art was surviving and make other people to survive. Make sense? And if it's not, please somebody correct me. Perry Date says, thank you, this is fascinating. Hey, welcome to the tribe, because now you become addicted. I don't know anybody who has been going through this and can disconnect. So it's anything else that I see you, Jennifer, taking notes. Don't worry. We can go together. What challenge from this phase might this person have in relationships? Okay, I'm trying to read your... Okay, I'm sorry. What challenges from his phase might this person have in relationship? Are there particular facial characteristics that will be ideal in a partner? Jennifer, you want to talk from the aspect of empathy? Because I'm a different kind of empath. I'm a fixer.
I would guess that he probably doesn't manage his emotions in intimate relationships in an ideal way. He's probably closed with his emotions, maybe. And again, this is coming from what I know about the nervous system. I'm not really face reading here because I don't know that part yet.
No, that's the reason from your standpoint, working with people with trauma who want to start developing relationship with others. In this case, and a specific question is what kind of characteristics a partner from somebody who want to approach this person should have in order to get through the wall he did.
Yeah. It would be a softness and a rapport, and don't make him wrong. So let's say a lot of times when people have this level of trauma, they develop an addiction. And when people have addictions, for example, there's a lot of like intervention and fighting and people saying, you need to stop that. That's not good for you. And I can't believe you would do that to yourself. Well, the question to ask somebody who has an addiction, if he's using it as a coping mechanism, for example, is what does the substance give you? Or what does the addiction give you? What do you get from it? Because
I'm sorry, an addiction is a symptom of another situation, correct?
Yeah,
from medical,
It's often a symptom. Well, an addiction is a symptom of trauma. It comes from trauma. And a lot of times when people can resolve their trauma, then they also resolve the addiction. And what I see a lot are people who don't actually address the addiction, but they just change the habit. So I see a lot of people who used to be alcoholics and, I'm in recovery. I haven't touched alcohol in 20 years. But if they miss a day of working out, it like screws up their whole week. They can't handle it. So all they've done is shift it into another addiction that, they can't live without, or they can't miss a day. And so it's how you approach it. And that's the only reason I talk about addiction, is because addiction is so common whenever I see this in the nervous system. Not saying that he does or doesn't have it, because, I can't talk to him. However, if that is the case, and there probably are, if it's not a substance addiction, I would guess that he absolutely has some behavioral addictions. And a lot of times behavioral addictions will get labeled and diagnosed, like OCD, for example. And it would be, what does that give to you? Like, what do you get from it? And so being understanding and not making him wrong, and then starting there. Because a lot of times when people do have that trauma, they can go from like 0 to 90 miles per hour with their emotions in a split second, where everything's fine. And next thing you know, they're in a rage, or everything seems to be fine, or they've completely shut down. And then you have the silent treatment for 3 days and you don't know why. So it can manifest in ways like that. And again, not making it wrong, being patient and saying, okay, what do you need? Tell me the kind of space that you need. That would be how I would approach it, and that can be like walking on eggshells. The guy on the after picture, he needs professional help.
Oh, that's no doubt. He doesn't need face reading. Sure. Yeah. Face reading is a way that how maybe a professional can address to him, but he definitely cannot. Face reading doesn't fix you. Face reading doesn't show you somebody's line. Face reading allows you to understand other people, to understand they don't drive you crazy. It's not about you, it's about the other person and how to communicate to have a better bridge and shorter gap in order to get to the person.
Yeah.
I have 2 clients who are ex-alcoholic, and one of them become my friend. We become friends. And one of the things we were talking once is like, okay, sometimes some addiction start having people names. And he says the same that you says, like, I used to be an alcoholic. Now I obsess with this and this and this. And I, even though after 20 years, still haven't found the reason why I do it. But every time that I change a symptom, I realize I've never changed the problem. That is, they keep going and doing. So he become addicted to certain thing until he become addicted to a relationship that was extremely distracted. That when he become my client, like, I need to know if she's the crazy one or I am. Like, I'm not a doctor, but I can tell you this person is going to drive you crazy.
Yeah.
You have the witch.
I call that stuck in sobriety. I've heard a lot of people recovered talking about being stuck in sobriety, where it's pretty much what you just said. Where they're sober, but they can't seem to progress forward. And if people out there find themselves stuck in sobriety, I would find a practitioner who understands the relational model, because sometimes that behavioral model where all you do is talk about it, but you don't actually reconnect with your body and the sensation in your body, that can keep people stuck in sobriety, where they get to that level and they just can't progress beyond it.
Elba, how you will approach the person on the left, or what are the things, the condition phase-wise, the people should have in order to communicate better? And we suddenly start jumping. Okay, go for it. And after that, we're going to address the questions I have here.
Okay, here I think the person who can be with him, it has to be the person that doesn't represent like threat to him, because he's the one to going to keep his feeling inside instead to protect them. So he needs a person who can be like maybe a large ears. I think that could be help for him, because he's a person that is calm, is a person who needs to he's going to
listen patiently.
He's going to be patient. He's going to take their time. So I think a person with a big ears, it could be a really good match for him. When he wants to talk, he's going to be the one to listen and just not interrupt or says, you know what, I understand what you're saying. No, she's going to listen to him and to be calm, be so patient, and he will give, or she will give the time to him so he can talk.
I will go with as many round features are possible from your face, from your eyebrows, from your chin. Round features remind us to babies. One of the reasons that I know sounds weird, but oxytocin is liberated in our body. That is the happy hormone. When we have sex, when we watch puppies, when we watch people laughing, and when we see babies doing doodles online. Why? Because it has to do with that roundness, where they're soft, they're nice. So we need to, in order to communicate with the person who came back from war, somebody similar to the one who left. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have more questions. Miriam, do you have another example? Miriam, we're going to be here every Friday, 2:30 p.m. Next week, we're going to have different pictures. Next week, we're going to talk how to interact with a specific people wearing masks. We're going to be teaching different people, different races, different ages, and how you measure the ears and how you will communicate with that. This is not only one episode. This is a series called Faces, Evil, Love, and Power, where you can read all those things on the face. And some people who have been evil and love, they have similar features, is how to put it together. And we talked with Joseph Maguire last week about the differences. Do you think starvation was part of his experience? He reminded me to eating disorder patient. Thank you. Leah, you know what? That's what I said in the beginning, that one of the first things that people tell me when I talk about the cheeks is like, oh, it's a starvation. It's a muscular bone difference on the body. You see the eyes, you see the cheek, you see the shape of the nose. Your question, it's correct, and I appreciate it. You did it, so allow me to repeat it. The cheeks are out of the face. The cheek has grown. Mm-hmm. In class, and we don't have the measurement, and my apologies, maybe I should have done it. You measure, you see this part of the face? He didn't have it before. His face was flat before. You see it was flat? Now his face is not. You see that bone? In order to become a warrior, and if you see the bone sticking out is on his business side, his exterior, his survival instinct. And if you see the ear, inner reach and outer reach, you don't have neither of both. So that again is fascinating. So Miriam, next week we're gonna go with another pictures. Actually, we select the picture. We're gonna teach how to communicate, approach different people based on nose and ears. The starvation. Hola, please to see. I haven't missed this live session. Mark, don't worry. On YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn, this is evergreen. The reason, since we have the license for LinkedIn, that you don't need to go to our blog, is that you can watch this anytime that you want. I would say take a look on the 3 sessions that we did before and the ones who are going to be starting every Friday. Again, people, I'm going to see you here with different guests talking about different topics every Friday at 2:30 p.m. If we don't have any more questions, I want to be respectful for everybody's time. And by the way, I have another of this for 2 hours. Actually, I don't remember, Jennifer, Elba, any of our Facebook group was supposed to be 15 minutes. The first time we jumped like, yeah, let's do 15 minutes, an hour. And the longest we have was an hour and 45 minutes. We never do less than that. We call it up in class. So, Jennifer, anything that you will want to express to people who may be seeing these situations and care ones, and advice to how to proceed? Because there's nothing worse than somebody you care going through this. And PTSD is not only when you go into war. PTSD can happen when you just are under the same roof and there are circumstances that can mark your life. It's like a tattoo that you need a specialist and help in order to erase.
Well, somebody who's been through that type of experience is not the person that you want to approach and tell them what they need, or approach with any type of judgment. Approach them with curiosity. Curiosity is the antidote to judgment. So be really curious about their experience and be really curious about what's happening with them, but don't be judgmental about it. So don't tell them, oh, you don't love me, or you're just betraying me, or you're ignoring me. That's judgment. That's what I'm talking about. Don't approach them and tell them what they're experiencing. Be curious.
I think being curious is the base of everything. The reason, Jennifer, you are here. You're my student and my teacher, probably because I'm going to end up studying with you about the nervous system. Then I'll become fascinated when you help me to put everything together. And actually, a couple of people comment in your reading of the first picture, like, I'm going to be the teacher's pet. And they were blown away with your explanation. So I'm probably going to start talking with you. Elba, the same happened to you. You're just curious, put the nose, now you cannot stop. Elba, what is your final approach on this?
I think, like Jennifer says, this is the kind of person that you don't have to tell him what to do or what to say. Just wait and give him the time to be the he wants. Give him time to be the one who can get close to you, and like if he needs someone, he will be the one who can understand the situation that he passed, and not to be like you see, judgment. So I think he is going to protect his inner feelings. So I think that's why too he is disconnected from reality, because instead to that and to survive, he put his feelings just deep inside. So I think it could be my approach for this picture.
Okay, we're gonna put the link for the Facebook group. So if you want to get a little deeper into this and be part of the amazing tribe that we have, this is the link. Perry says, apologies for hugging the chat. No, we love having people participate in the idea to do this open source and live. And so you can make questions. This is a new topic for a lot of people, but I think it's needed. When can people subscribe for Profiler Task Force? On Monday, we're going to start for the promotions. We start next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're going to have the Patreon, you're going to have the participation, and some people can have us for them 30 minutes after the show, but I will not going to talk until we have all the team together. It's going to be great, because that's the part when I could start talking about serial killers and my dark side is my alter ego is coming. I can use the dog collar on that show. So, and this one I try to be more empathic. Jennifer, thank you very much for being part of this. It's really important to bring different aspects to the same problematic.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is fun.
And for whatever after this live, all the information to contact Jennifer is going to be, I'm going to get to all the videos and all the channels and edit it. So all the information to contact Jennifer is going to be there. Elva, my love, I see you later, but is there anything else you want to say before we close?
I just have fun. I love to do this. It's like really, we can still learning about each other. And I think it's the best part. Just like learning and be curious.
By the way, if you want a specific picture, I always say, I'm a face mercenary. You want me to read a face? I'm going to read it. I don't care it's politic. I don't care who they are. I'm going to be read it, because it's not about my personal opinion. It's what your face is telling me. Your face is talking, I'm listening. So if you have anybody in a special that you want us to read and go deeper, or compatibility between people, just let us know. Only to let you know. If it's your partner or is your boss, the picture is going to go live. So yeah, be careful with that, because you send it, we're not responsible. Sorry for that. Okay, guys. See you next Friday. Thank you very much for being there. Thank you guys for being on the live, and I see you next week. Bye-bye.